We are joined now by one of our former guests and one of our favorites, man, former Alabama linebacker Conley Duncan. How you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm doing great today. Great.
Man. Hey, we asked you. We got a picture of you on our Tailgate Talk Facebook page, and we said, man, how old's that picture? And you said back about 45 years ago?
1975, I think. I was probably a senior on my way out because Coach Bryant wouldn't have let me have that long hair.
Coach wouldn't let you have that long hair.
No, you won't play for him. You had to have a little clean cut shut.
Well, yes, and speaking of that, I read a little story a while back about you getting in trouble and your dad having to get called in. Y'all got called in the office.
Yeah,
share that with us. If you want to whatever extent you can, or willing.
Yeah, you probably got called once or twice on that couch.
Yeah,
but for Dad to get called in with you, that's pretty bad, right?
It was. A little bit too many parties going on and too much stuff at parties, and I don't know how I got involved with that, but there was a lot of people
pressure,
there.
Man, it was peer pressure.
There was a lot of people there, but I guess, unfortunately, to be called out by Coach Bryant here there was about 7 or 8 of us out of, like I said, 500. And I thought I was going down to talk to Coach Bryant going into my senior year and, about leadership, and invited my dad, and I said, that's great. So we sat down there, and, of course, the couch. You've heard the couch story. You're sitting down there, and you're looking way up, at a mountain of a man and Coach Bryant. But it was not a good, favorable, or positive visit. As a result of that here, instead of being on the first-team defense going on into the fall, we called them HH for headhunters. That's what our defense was called. He put me down in the freshman group.
Oh, wow.
I saw that. Yeah, like you were holding the tackle dummies and stuff.
Yeah, and we were not doing a very good drill, and we were doing a gauntlet drill, and me and Leroy Cook happened to have a very poor start that day, and it happened to be Alumni Day, so we had a lot of Alabama alumni coming in to watch our scrimmage and our practice. And he took that bullhorn off that tower, and he called my name out, and Leroy Cook, which was an all-American.
Oh, yeah, I remember Leroy Cook, yeah.
And he stopped practice in there, and he just let us, gave us a riot act here right on that in front of everybody.
Wow.
Made us take our red jerseys off and made us put orange jerseys on, and they kicked our butts down there to the opposite end zone where we held dummies for, I don't know, way too long for the freshman team to do against us. But he eventually called us back up and let us do a scrimmage. Probably had one of our best scrimmages we ever had.
Yeah,
but
imagine it for that.
It's a little scary moment. You don't like to be called on the carpet or sit on the couch, as people would say. But it's just one of many.
Oh, yeah.
One of many. I'm a 70s child, so.
Well, there you go. That's a great point. I didn't look at that from that aspect, but yep.
But
a lot of good Southern rock and roll going on, good music as it is still today.
Yeah. I remember when Richard Todd come to Greenbrier the other night, and we tried to get you to tell some Richard Todd, and you said, "Nah, I better not tell. I better not tell all them stories with Richard, all them stories."
Well, we met outside before. We set some ground rules in here.
So we better not tell all them stories.
I got your back. You got my back. Because you tell a story on me, I've got one just to match on you.
Got one on you.
So that's a good pack to have there.
Yeah,
both y'all out of trouble.
But I mean, just think of those days and playing for Coach Bryant. That's just some of them glory days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it was. We had a very significant run there in the 70s. We won 5 straight SEC championships, which is still the record today of any team in the SEC on consecutive SEC championships. So we had a lot of overachievers. We had some great players, as you know, Ozzie Newsome.
Yeah, and I was just fixing to ask you about that because in the moment, Jeff Rutledge was on that team, Tony Nathan. I mean, just all the different. I'm thinking some of the offense, but
Bob Bumhauer.
Yeah, Bob Bumhauer. You played with. I mean, in the moment, you're not really thinking about, wow, man, these guys and myself and you included are killing it. Or are you? I mean, do you realize at that moment that y'all are special as now and through the years have perceived it to be?
Well, we didn't really think that at the time. I mean, we were young, and you come out of high school and everybody's telling you how good you are, and you got a lot of publicity. But you go down to Tuscaloosa and you realize, you're just one of many.
Yeah.
And I know the first day I went to practice in here, they had my name behind some guy named Woodrow Lowe. I didn't know who Woodrow Lowe was.
Yeah, from Phoenix City. Who's that guy?
Where is Phoenix City? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it didn't take me but about 30 minutes of watching him play to realize that.
He knew who he was.
What position is he in? He's in the same position as I am. So I said, well, maybe I'll go back to running back, fullback. I was a fullback too.
And I was going to ask you about that. Like, so coming in, did Coach Bryant specifically say, hey, you're going to be on defense, or recruit you for defense, or hey, did he leave it up in the air to like, hey, we'll see where you fit in?
We really didn't ever talk about a specific position, because a lot of kids that they signed back then in those days here played two different positions. Yeah. And we played both ways, but not started both ways. And so we really didn't know. And in our year, my year was the first year that freshmen were eligible to play varsity.
Oh, wow.
And it's not like it is today where they all just come in at one time. We actually had a freshman practice for about 45 minutes before the varsity even came out.
Really?
And so Coach Griska was our coach, and so we got after it pretty good for 45 minutes to an hour. Then the varsity came out, and they beat us up for about 2 hours, and then they would all go to the house and watch film and training room and weight room and so forth. And then Coach Griskus would take our freshman team back out, and we'd have another 45-minute practice.
Wow.
So only after they got on the field and they saw some drill work and so forth that a couple of players on our freshman team, Woodrow being one of them, Greg Montgomery being another one, that they moved them up to varsity practice. And so we only lost about 2 or 3 players off my freshman team that actually played varsity. It's not like it is now where they all just in there together. But no, we were all athletes first. We all had multiple positions that we played. I started off as a fullback in freshman. And then I tore my Achilles tendons, or strained it, so it had to go in a boot here for about 2 or 3 weeks. And when I came out, I couldn't get in a 3-point stance. So Coach Dodger said, well, get your ass over there and we'll just play you on defense.
Well, I mean,
and
really,
I said, great.
Would you rather not hit than be hit?
Well, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, I was looking at the roster and I said, okay, we're playing one fullback and there's 3 linebacker positions out there. I said, I'm going to stay right where I am. And, of course, I watched Woodrow Lowe play my whole freshman year, and he was just phenomenal. And then sophomore year, came back and contributed primarily on special teams, on every special teams, but and got a chance to play in the game, but we were like 40-something to nothing ahead. So they put some of us younger ones. Yeah, they put us some younger ones in there.
Back in 70, well, you were there 73 to 75, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you were recruiting 73. Were there restrictions at that time on recruiting, the number, at some point?
No, they didn't have a recruiting number back then. Coach Bryant used to just recruit 100.
Whoever,
he could pack up pretty much who he could want to back then.
Well, he did. Our limit was 40. Our limit was 40 scholarships.
Okay.
So they did have 40. Okay,
that's what I was asking.
I
did along that time, and that's why I was asking. So.
Yeah, they took a lot of walk-ons now. There's Alan Pizzatola that played strong safety, was an all-SEC strong safety. He was from Birmingham.
Walk-on.
He was a walk-on, and eventually he was a scholarship player. But now there were some limits on that, and recruiting, we didn't really know. I mean, I ate a lot of clam chowder up here at the Shangri-La restaurant in Decatur because my mama was from New Orleans, and Coach Bryant knew that we were fond of seafood, so we would go out to eat a lot at that restaurant. But no, when he offered, I said, I'm going.
You going to Alabama?
But I did enjoy my visit at the LSU. That was probably my second favorite visit that I did, and I kind of got excited about it and came home and told my mom that I was really excited about LSU, and she said, son, if that's the place that you want to go, feel free to go. But don't think you can come home.
I hear you. Mama talks. I'm glad Mama.
Well, I didn't like it that much, Mama.
You didn't like it that much, Mama.
No, I didn't. I can always bring up seafood or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sound like Bucky Berry's story too. You know, his mama told him he was going to Alabama. Well, I mean, Coach Bryant, I think, actually got to their house before he got home, and she already had the news for him.
She already had the news. Son, you're going to Alabama. She just told him.
Yeah.
So after your football career and everything, tell us what you got into and what you've been doing the last several years.
Well, I after I graduated from Alabama, I went out to San Francisco 49ers for a little while and had some good but mostly bad experiences there. And then I went up to Canada and played for a little bit up in Canada. But then I came back and I decided to get into business. And I spent about 23 years as the director of sales for a company called Cybex. We were in equipment manufacturing, fitness, wellness. And we had a division that were in the medical field.
That was a big...
It was a big company.
Yeah, big company.
About $100 million company, which is not huge, but it was big in that industry. But that allowed me to get into more of the medical side, the rehabilitation side, physical therapy, athletic trainers. And so I dealt with a lot of NFL strength coaches and athletic trainers and orthopedics and things of that nature. So I spent 23 years traveling around the country here with them and did real well, just enjoyed myself. And then decided I have 5 kids, and most of my kids were going through school, and I would talk to them at some Marriott because I traveled all the time, and I decided that that's not what I really wanted to do anymore. So I started my own little company called Major Sports Training, and it allowed me to do some individualized training, speed work primarily, with a lot of high school athletes from various sports. And at the time, there's not a lot of speed coaches. I think I might be the very first speed coach actually in North Alabama. So I knocked on a lot of doors and coaches and so forth and got a lot of the same answers. You can't coach speed.
Wrong.
Well, you can't. It's just like shooting a
three-pointer. Technique and footwork and
absolutely.
So many things involved.
I really learned a lot about the mechanics of speed and agility, technique, mechanics, and things of that nature. So it really helped me kind of set me out apart. And trial and error, and had some success, and had a little bit more success, and so I'm still doing that now.
That's awesome.
Can you name some of the guys maybe that's went on and played that you can mention?
Well, yeah, there's Gerard Powers, which is a local guy in here, and I had a lot of Rolando McClain.
Yeah, we've heard that guy too
from Alabama, and
Townsend.
Chad Townsend is one of my guys here. I love the guy. And then of course I had Rob Ezel here in Athens, and Alfred McCullough, and a bunch of local guys that have gone on to play, and now have gone on into the NFL and had an NFL career, and now they're all retired and have kids, and now I'm trying to work on their kids. So I've been very successful with, or fortunate I should say, about working with some high-profile athletes. But the real thrill I get is to work with some kids that haven't made the team in a year or two, made the team, but they're way down on the depth chart, is trying to improve their overall athletic ability, give them some confidence and some self-esteem. Just because you're 5'8", 5'9", doesn't mean that you can't participate and can't contribute. And so the real value that I've found in this field that I'm in now is the ability to really work with a lot of young athletes, young kids, both girls and boys, and try to give them a little competitive edge that they can participate. Sports are so good, not just about winning on Friday nights or Saturday or things of that nature, but to build confidence in themselves.
Absolutely.
And learn the camaraderie and the discipline and all those old corny terms that are still good today.
They're still good today, man.
And character and on and off the field. So that's the real value, and I'm still doing that. I'm not doing it as much as I have been. I've got 9 grandkids now, so
wow. Well, they're giving you speed and agility by running you around.
I find out that's where most of my workouts are, is just chasing after those guys. Plus, I got 4 dogs too, so that keeps me busy.
But and what you're doing too goes across all sports. That's what's cool about it. Speed. You need speed in every, maybe not golf, but you know what I mean. But team sports, absolutely. So that's cool. But 9 grandchildren. Wow.
Well, y'all were talking so early. Clay does such a good job here of promoting the Huntsville Havoc. I had fire pit set up for tonight. I was going to enjoy that, but he's kind of encouraged me now to get out and go to the Havoc place. There's such a good quality, and you guys do a great job of promoting that and letting people promote there. There's so many good things to do.
But you're talking about, and Alabama's what you're talking about, speed and agility. Sky Cochran's done a great job at Alabama for 13 years, but a lot of his stuff has been strength. and now Alabama's went up to, and you wouldn't think of Indiana as going up place, but I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on these guys ever since Alabama hired them. But David Ballou and Dr. Matt Rhea, who Coach Saban's hired from Indiana, they're building this new sports science facility, which I hope you get a chance to go tour it when they get it built. And Dr. Matt Rhea is big on speed and agility, and I've been watching a lot of videos on him, and I really think, man, if Henry Ruggs had another year at Alabama, could you imagine Dr. Rhea trying to knock off some more time on him, and he's already running a 4.27.
I can't imagine that. I think it's possible, but when I worked the NFL scouting combine up in Indianapolis and New Orleans and Phoenix and Tampa for 23 years, and I think it was a milestone when we had a guy that ran in under sub 4.5, a 4.48, 4.49.
Yeah, back in the day, if you were a 4.4 guy, you were like
exactly. Now 4.27, and he was mad about running 47 time.
That goes back to all the technology and other things, and people like you that have come along and worked with these athletes. That have made those differences in speed, strength, and everything.
Well, you have to work on the total package in here. Strength is an important part, but development of power. Most of these sports here that we're in is a power sport. Yeah. And so, there's a difference between strength training and power training. And so I try to give the kids a lot of understanding about when they're in the weight room, which is an important part of their overall plan of playing sports, is, what are you doing and why are you doing it and what's the outcome that you want. And it's different when you're working on strength as opposed to trying to develop power. And so you understand that, and these kids are going to have to go out and make decisions on their own, whether or not they're going to lift on their own or do so, or especially in their nutrition part. You've got to teach them about what's the good part about being into sports is that, what you put into your body here is really, really important. And in today's, you can't keep kids from driving through, a fast food items and getting a double Whopper and large French fries, which may not be the most best nutrition plan for them.
Not on the nutrition plan.
So
let me ask you, and this is, you can scold me to the end of the earth on this if you want. I'm open.
I promise you I won't.
But you can if you want to.
I might say something, but I might.
So I have this. I've had this weird theory for years. Not just on college, pro level, high school level, even now. Mm-hmm. You have all these ACLs and knee injuries and joint injuries in general. Mm-hmm. And with all the heavy lifting, with all the powerlifting these kids are doing, people are doing, and athletes in the NFL or whatever, at some point can it be too much on the joints, and that's why as you're just walking onto a football field, you blow an ACL? I mean, a lot of them are non-contact injuries, and and obviously when you look at them, they're a freak of nature physically.
Well, you're absolutely right. The ACL is about the number one injury that you see mostly in athletics today, young athletics. And, of course, you're dealing with a 13 or 14-year-old kid or a 15, 16-year-old. Their body is still developing. Yeah. And so, there's a certain amount of work that you should really supervise before you turn a lot of these kids off, and they're not. They go and they see Jimmy Ray over here lifting 200 pounds, and they want to lift 200 pounds. But I think ultimately what you're saying is that, or what I would tell you is that you really need to be a balanced athlete. Every muscle in your body here has to work against another to work against a different muscle, like your leg extensions, your quadriceps. Well, you got to develop your hamstrings, and we're in a mindset where everything is all front end loaded. What do you see when you go into the room? What you're looking for? You're looking, or I should say, Bam and Zach. Zach wants to build those beach muscles, all that front end, the chest, the bicep, the quadriceps. Well, you said something earlier is that most people work the front side, but very few spend enough time on the back side in here, so that you work a balance as an example, 80% of most of your anterior cruciate ligaments occur in a non-contact sport. And that generally tells you that your quadriceps are overpowering your hamstring. So you put your foot in the ground to make a plant. The quads are so strong, it just pushes that quad right out, or that knee joint right out, and you have some injuries there. So you really strive for balance. I spent a lot of time on the backside. Hamstrings are my favorite muscle group to work because
hamstrings. We hear that all the time.
That you do, and so I think you're really looking at more of a balance, and that's why you're seeing good strength coaches here, even in the high school level, and especially in the pros and in the college areas, is that they take more of a approach of becoming balanced versus just focusing on one aspect of the body, which is a traditional lift of a back squat or a power cleans or things of that nature. So, the balance is the key, and the ability to have flexibility.
Yes,
very few kids.
They don't work on
today.
flexibility.
No, they don't work. They don't work enough on flexibility.
And listen, I'm telling you, for those that are just driving down the road, listening to this on the radio or app or whatever,
which are thousands.
Thousands, hundreds into the thousands,
billions.
But go back on this YouTube video, and I want them to listen. You look like you can still walk on the field and play today. So I mean,
I could do a kickoff, I think.
Knock somebody out.
So you're not just. I mean, these aren't things you're just saying. I mean, you're living it. So
I do, and I work with it every day. Like I'll leave here, and I have a small group of kids coming in from out of town this afternoon, coming to Decatur, and we're going to work on combine drills.
Nice.
Combines are a big thing now in high schools to get it noticed, to get exposure in here and learn and get better and show, where you are, and so. We'll be doing that, and a lot of it is technique and mechanics and body type and balance and things of that nature. So
going back to your playing days, if y'all have had these same tools, can you imagine how much even better y'all possibly could have been?
Yeah, we would have been better. Kids today are bigger, stronger, and faster.
Absolutely.
And, may not be as tough as we were back then. Yet,
you just think you talking about you and Woody Lowe. There wasn't no Orlando McLean's. Those type linebackers, they were you and Woody Lowe. There wasn't Orlando and Dante Hightowers and those type
and
guys.
We were small for linebackers back in that time.
Exactly.
I mean, we were 6 foot, 6'1", about 220 and 215, and that's where we were. And then you got away from that, and you developed the big Rolando McLean's, the 6'4", 6'3",
but like you said,
250s.
Too, a lot of y'all are out there playing with broken thumbs, fingers, whatever, and not coming off the field where the new age athletes kind of like, I've got a pinky strain, and so I'm gonna be out a couple of weeks. And not being ugly, it's just you see it on the ticker all the time.
I've broken every one of my fingers, this thumb twice and this thumb 3 times. Now it's not on playing on the football field, but it's been playing in playgrounds and everything else. But we had the mindset from our athletic trainers here of. They'd tell you the war stories in here. Well, the worst injury I ever had was a hyperextension of an elbow. And my own player hit me, and my arm just turned completely black and blue. Wow. And I walk into the training room like I'm supposed to, and Coach Goostree says, "What are you doing in there?"
Coach Goose.
I showed him my arm, and it's all black and blue from the wrist to the shoulder. He said, "Well, put some ice on it."
Put some ice. That's what
walk it off.
Put some ice on it.
If you're a little dizzy, here's the smelling salt, but get back out there, man.
Those are all true stories. I go back the second day, and they say, "Well, Leroy Jordan had the same injury, and he was only in here one day. What are you doing back today?"
If it's good enough for Leroy, it's good enough for you.
And after the third day, though, I go back there, and Coach Goostree, which was a Hall of Fame athletic trainer, he'd turn and look at me. He said, "Well, they just don't make them as tough as they used to."
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Go back there and put some ice on them. They had me strapped up for Saturday. I played Saturday with a big old hook on my arm like that.
But you played.
I played. I played. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Well, now we've got a guy hanging around the perimeter here. Do we need to bring him in?
Well, this is one of my prize athletes right here, Justin Brown, one of the former wide receivers, state championships from Athens High School. He's now a coach.
Hey, bud.
Now a coach. Hey. Probably one of my fastest athletes I've ever worked with right here.
Yeah, hand him that headset there.
Oh, you're going to talk too?
We're going to make a celebrity out of you, man.
You're good to look at. I don't know how good you sound. Welcome, Justin Brown, back home.
So you played at Athens. Okay, that's right. And you were trained by this guy.
Yes, sir.
So how was
in
it?
05.
05. So how was it like being trained by him?
Man, it was great. I tell guys all the time, just working with Coach Duncan as a player and then going on to helping him coach while I was in college, and now I'm coaching college. I'm still doing the same stuff that he taught me back in 05.
That's great.
And
that's awesome.
And he was above his time. You didn't see a lot of guys really doing the speed and agility. It's like you were just talking about. Everybody's like, hey, let's go in the weight room and squat 500 pounds.
Yeah.
We come over there and we're working on flexibility, working on explosiveness. I would go over there on a Wednesday during the season and get on a Vertimax machine and do squats with a resistance band, and then he would stretch me.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, you believed in it, or you wouldn't have done it.
Yes,
but
sir.
in the back of your mind, did you ever think, man, this dude is crazy. This ain't going to help me.
I saw it.
You saw the results.
I saw the
Okay,
results.
yeah.
We just add another set if he said something like that.
There you go.
I'll make him think. So where are you coaching at now?
I'm the wide receiver coach and special team coordinator at Bethel University in McKenzie, Tennessee.
All right. Yes, sir.
Congratulations,
That's
man.
awesome.
That is awesome.
Great ambassador for the college and his career and his field that he's in, and a great ambassador for Athens. This is one of the, not only a great athlete in here, but he, off the field is just phenomenal.
So 2005. So you.
It was Coach Creasy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Coach Creasy.
And then I'm trying to think, who's your quarterback?
Robbie Zell.
Rob. Okay.
So you played with Rob. Okay.
Alfred McCullough.
Yeah.
Alfred, so, okay.
Vincent
Carlos
Jones.
Jones.
So
Yeah.
did you have Rob at the same time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, y'all.
I had their whole
okay.
team at Athens.
Oh, wow.
We
No wonder y'all
had
were so
contract
good.
with Coach Creasy where I went in during the summertime, which was unique because most of them, they did their own conditioning here. So I brought a little bit different here of agility and speed.
That says a lot about what he thought about you and what you were doing. I mean, honestly. So
Well, he bought into it,
Yeah.
and after you buy into it, then you have to have results. And Justin ran a 7 flat 40 when I first got him.
7 flat.
I don't believe that.
So how much time did you cut off of him?
Well, maybe that was 100. I don't know. I'm not saying 40. Now he was a sub 4.4 guy, one of the fastest guys around at that time, and now he says he still is that fast.
I walked a player down in practice last spring. You always gotta. Your player's always gonna try.
They're gonna try you.
They're gonna try you.
Yeah.
We were in 7-on-7, and one of my former receivers that moved over to DB. You know how those defensive guys are. They're here to call and they'll play the play.
Yeah.
They want to look good. And so we had a trips concept running 4 verticals. And he saw it and he baited that young quarterback and he picked it off and he took off across the field. And nobody on offense chased the ball. So I was sitting on the opposite hash, on the right hash, and he's going down the sideline. I just looked. I got pissed, and I took off. I walked him, and I tapped him on his leg, and all the players was like, dang, he just got walked down by a coach.
That is awesome. That is a great story. But you're right. You got to let them know.
You got to let them know,
Yeah, you can't let them go. So,
well, now, we all know how parents can get during the game. Mm-hmm. Do you have run-ins with parents?
Well, I'll go first. I encourage parents to be involved, just don't be verbally involved. You can pull up to the field and watch them all you want to, but don't teach and don't coach.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's why you have them.
That's why.
And so I encourage them because they pick up things because I want them to reinforce the mechanics and the information. I mean, we talk about not really getting 100% better. We talk about each kid here trying to get 1% better in everything that you do. And that's from your flexibility.
What'd you say, Coach?
Same thing, 1% better every day. Tell my receivers that Thursday after spring ball, and that's something, he preached to us every day. Hey, we're not trying to get, we ain't trying to build Rome in a day.
Let me ask you this, since Tim kind of brought that up along those same lines about the parent involvement. Have you, either one of y'all, ever had a parent go, look, I don't see any improvement, or, hey, my kid, college level, my kid ain't playing enough?
Well, at the high school level, you saw more of it.
Yeah.
Parents are going to be involved more in the program.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we see it. I see that
now,
in Slimestone.
Both of the universities I've worked at, I coached in the Division II level, and now I'm at an NAIA level, which is pretty much hand in hand with Division II.
Yeah.
So the way our systems are built, as soon as the game is over, everybody's on the field. So what I've learned to do, that first game, I kind of got caught in the granddads and aunties and uncles, so I kind of figured out a way to get around because at the college level, what you tell your kids is, hey, your parents didn't sign the scholarship.
That's
you
right.
did. So if you have a problem with playing time or you have a problem with how let's talk man to man. You know, and that's why we.
That's what I've always told my nephews. If you've got a problem with it, you go straight to the head coach and just what can I do?
Coach.
What can I do to get better or to get on the field?
And I think in my perspective, where I'm dealing more with the high school kids and not softball girls, volleyball girls, basketball, you name it. Parents need to be a little patient because you can't turn a kid into running a 6 flat into a 4.7 overnight. So you look for increment improvements a little bit along the way. And there's so many other things that you can benefit that young athlete with other than just being better athletically. Understanding about the importance of nutrition, as we talked about it, understanding about flexibility, those type of things, understanding about being a good leader on and off the field. Those are the messages that you can leave with a lot of young kids that may not ever be good enough to play at the next level. Very few of them are. But those are the kids that are going to reach a milestone on their part that they're going to feel better about themselves. Yeah. They're going to go from 4th string to maybe 2nd string and participate and improve if you're just patient. But, we're in a society now where everything is overnight.
Everybody wants it now.
I want to run a 4.3 next week. Well, in order to run a 4.3, we got to go down to 30 yards instead of 40 yards.
Yeah, there you go.
But the core work, the ab work, all that goes into building a better athlete, working on your foundation, working
That's
on
where
your
it starts.
flexibility. It really is. And so, I've had very few parents that have come to me and said, I'm going to take my kid out of there because he's just not getting what he needs. There's always something that the kid is going to really learn, whether or not it's going to run faster and better mechanics and technique and time, they will. But if you don't stop and really teach the kids at an early age and you just reinforcing poor technique over and over again. So mine is really not a conditioning class, although I've done conditioning for certain coaches in certain schools. Mine is more about a teaching aspect of it so that you slow down. It's the quality of the repetitions, not the quantity of repetitions. And high school coaches have a tough time with that. They got 60, 70 kids out there, and they've got an hour to get everything done. So it depends. Just run. Well, if you don't have an ability to stop and really educate and teach those kids the proper way to do it, how to, and let them walk through and then and a little faster and a little faster and a little faster, then you will get better. But it just takes some time.
Well, it obviously works. We got success right here next to us.
That's right. Well, Conley, we could talk all day, brother, but we're going to have to take some break. I know.
I can talk.
We will definitely have you back, brother. We will definitely get you back. But we appreciate you, and we appreciate Justin joining us, too. So
thank you. Bama Zach.
Thank you, brother.
Man, Coach, thank you very much. Thank you again,
we've
too,
had
man.
Conley Duncan, Coach Justin Brown. We appreciate you, and we'll have you back some other time. We're going to take us a break. We'll be right back to listen to Applebee's Tailgate Talk on WK.
That's right.
Easy. Yeah, that's right.